Patrick Mahomes is basically God playing quarterback.
Chiefs Kingdom
Live.
Come on at it. What's hot? Know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni.
Yeah, when it's grim, be the Grim Reaper and go get it.
It's Mahomes' house. And it is good, good, good. Woo! Arrowhead man.
The Lombardi Trophy has a red and gold reflection.
You gotta fight for your right to party.
Woo! Let's go.
Howdy, Chiefs Kingdom. It's Wednesday. It's 8 o'clock. It's Chiefs Kingdom Live. Thank you so much for joining us. Real quick, while you're here, before you forget, click or tap that like, click or tap that subscribe. Tell a friend, tell a family member, tell a Chiefs fan, tell them to tell some more Chiefs fans. Help spread the word. We'd sure appreciate it. We got a hot show full of hot takes, and yeah, we got a lot to talk about in this show. So before we get into it, fellas, how we doing? Nick?
I mean, I've had better weeks, but
Right.
you know, it's like Mahomes today said, "Well, I remember we were 6-4 one time and we won the Super Bowl." So I mean, it's perspective, right? It's not the end of the world, but yeah, I mean, it's that one that loss bummed me out more than some of the other ones that we've had. So, but other than that, I mean, good. You know, just getting geared up for the Christmas holiday and getting ready for my time off work. I'm off from the 20th through the end of the year, so I'm looking forward to that. So what about you, Bo?
I too am getting ready for the Christmas holiday. I don't dressed for the occasion today. It's a month-long celebration in our house, apparently. Thanks, Race Car, for that. Got the Christmas sweater going. No, I mean, I'm with Nick. Have had better weeks, but you know, that game also bummed me out too. And I was sitting there thinking, oh man, now we have to go on the podcast and talk about this loss. And then today I was watching YouTube and the New Heights podcast comes up, and I'm like, well, if these two guys can do it, I definitely can do it. I mean, I couldn't imagine having to get on in front of millions of people right now and like have to, you
Especially
know,
the Eagles,
explain
yeah.
your way through. Oh, I mean, both those games. I mean, those were brutal losses by both teams. So I mean, cheers to those guys. They put on a good show. I mean, there's a good reason they talked about cereal and singing for the first 30 minutes before they got into their games. But hey, I'm ready to do the podcast. Ready to get it. Ready to looking forward to this Bills game. How about you, Scott? How are you doing, man?
I'm recovered. It was probably a good thing I watched the game by myself here at the house. Frustrating. You know, at least the Eagles, they just got their ass kicked. The Chiefs, they kind of shot themselves in the foot a couple times and then got absolutely hosed by the referees over and over and over. Just a extremely frustrating game. And I don't know, the Chiefs never get their ass kicked now they have Patrick Mahomes. So maybe I just forgot how bad it is to really just take a butt kicking like that. But yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of in the Christmas spirit, I guess. I know it's about my fourth favorite holiday after 4th of July, Thanksgiving, New Year's, Halloween, then Christmas. So it's probably my fifth favorite holiday. But it's all good. I enjoy
Scott's like, I like Boxing Day and Labor Day.
There's Flag Day and Memorial Day. I kind of like that one a little bit better.
Columbus Day.
Yeah, no, for sure. So, I don't know, man. It just – I'm all good until I hear that Paul McCartney Wonderful Christmas Time song. It just sets me off, man. And it's one of the worst songs ever written and produced by one of the best musicians ever, somehow, unbelievably. But,
the Mariah Carey one is the one that feels like somebody's jabbing me in the neck a little bit.
Right. Yeah, it was a little rough. It seems like people at work start playing the Christmas music like 2 or 3 days earlier every year. The next thing you know, it's like the second week in October. People are playing Christmas music and putting the stuff on their desk, and you're like, wait a minute, bro. Anyway, I digress.
I had to tell Ashley, hey, can we just have Thanksgiving first? Like, she started busting out the Christmas decorations right before the turkey was getting put in the oven. I'm like, wait. Like, 4 more hours. Let's eat this turkey, and then you can have at it.
Yeah, John C is running in, man. He's twisting the knife there on me in the chat. I can see him down there. But people ask me, so do you put your Christmas tree up around Thanksgiving, or do you wait before or after? I'm like, well, no. My family Christmas at my house is going to be the 24th or the 23rd this year, so it'll probably go up on the 18th or the 19th or the 20th, and then come
You have a
down
tree?
definitely before the New Year. What's that?
You have a tree?
Yeah. Don't you remember last year? Got guilted into the tree because we had the family thing here. I didn't have a tree, and everybody guilted me into going and buying one. But I think maybe the kids were sick last year. You guys didn't make it or something. Maybe that's what it was. But anyway, let's get back to this game. Something that makes me more sick than Christmas. I don't even know where to begin.
With John C, he has a perfect statement. Just wasn't meant to be that game.
Yeah, that's a good way to describe it. That was a good way to describe it. People were dropping like flies, getting hurt.
Oh man, plague
put out there on the Chiefs X account, the app formerly known as Twitter, when I want to say Brian Cook had the nasty ankle injury that turned out somehow miraculously to not be that bad, maybe.
I mean, maybe, right? But yeah,
right.
Brutal looking picture.
All X-rays showed no breaks, which if you see the still shot of his ankle and his foot, how that dude's ankle didn't break into about 12 different pieces.
Or he didn't twist his knee or something, you know?
Yeah, just unbelievable. Man, that guy has got.
Yeah, I think he's going in for MRIs this week. But yeah, I'm with you. The fact that it even stayed intact structurally is just like mind blowing. I put the picture up on our Instagram and somewhere else, can't remember. But yeah, go find us on the internet. You'll see it.
Put out the old post there on X, the app formerly known as Twitter, Chiefs Kingdom Live. You can find us there, Instagram, Facebook. But on the X account, when Brian Cook got hurt, put out the old Lloyd Christmas, Dumb and Dumber, where he's like, our pets' heads are falling off. That's just what it felt, man. Like he was kept everything was going down, he kept losing guys, and man, what a rough game overall. But I don't know, just overall thoughts. Nick, what did you think about that game?
I think this game really put into sharp contrast like teams of the past where the quick score and quick strike ability of the Chiefs not being there this year was pretty much game planned against by the Packers, and they basically were like, well, look, like this team isn't great in the red zone and they can't score fast, so if we can put together long drives, they're going to really have a hard time keeping up with us. And the Chiefs just don't have that quick playability, right? Like you just remember we talked about they went 6-4 and then won the Super Bowl. Yeah, but like they could be down 24 points to the Texans and then be winning 28-24 at half. Because they had that ability. You may be able to take Tyreek Hill out of a game, but they still had a Tyreek Hill on the team, and right now they don't. And so I think that's what they're really struggling with. We thought that Justin Ross might be that kind of guy this year for us. Rashee Rice has shown some of that ability. They don't seem to be interested in throwing the ball to him downfield right now. They're throwing him all stuff like. I think they said his average target was 1 yard downfield. So they're just not trusting his hands right now, I don't think. And so I think it's just going to be, that deal where if our defense struggles, like we're gonna have to score on every drive. A touchdown out of every drive, we're really going to struggle unless some of these guys can step up and start making plays. So that was kind of my overall thought, right? Like we just don't have that explosive capability that we've had in the past, and that's what ended up kind of biting us in the ass and ultimately lost.
You're 100% right.
Right. I don't know if it's just on my end. Nick was a little muffled there for quite a bit of that. I can still understand what he's saying. I don't know if that's coming through on my end or if that's an issue with his mic.
Let me disconnect and come back. Hold on.
It's
good
good
fine
now,
but
yeah. now that you're pretty much done with your soliloquy there.
Yeah.
Mike again, but Bo, overall thoughts on the game, general feeling about it.
You know, everybody in the sports world's been talking about it. It's the throughput, is the reffing, the officiating. I don't want to sit here and try to like blame the refs. I mean, the most I will say is they probably screwed us a chance to steal that game away, right? And it is what it is. Everybody agrees it was defense or as pass interference on Marquez Valdez-Scantling right there at the end. Pretty much gave the defender a piggyback ride for 3 yards before the ball got there, and it was that no call. I mean, that is what it is. But I think Patrick Mahomes said it perfectly. He's like, it's the end of the game. I'm not looking for a flag there. I got to throw a ball where it's not underthrown. He has to stop. I got to throw a better ball. I really appreciated that about him. Yeah, you're shaking your head. I agree with you. It's not on him, obviously, right? It's the refs. But at the same time, at no point in that game did I feel like, oh, this team's dominating, or we're going to come back, as Nick's pointing out. We're going to come back from a 5-point deficit, man. Like we were just like clawing at trying to get our way just to tie this game all game. And I think the frustrating thing for me was just like, man, I've seen this team so many times, right? This is the Chiefs of the past. Like, good defense, really mediocre offense. And it sucks because we have the best quarterback in football. And not a lot's changed since last year. I mean, Juju's gone, but like we have MVS, and like not a whole lot is like, as far as like the lineup goes, has changed. And so it's just kind of like this anomaly. Like, is it guys just being too young and not enough experience? Is it, Mahomes having a mediocre season instead of a great season? I mean, he's having a good season by all accounts. I mean, he's still like top 10, top 11 or something by all metrics. But I mean, we're kind of used to him being top 3, if not the guy. And then like our defense, man, it's just hard to like really put a pin in what's going on with this game. But again, I just can't blame the refs because we just weren't in that game really. I didn't think, man. Like we were always just trying to either tie it or come close, and all the things we've talked about in weeks prior kind of came through. We're talking about the penalties kind of being a thing. I mean, not trying to blame the refs, but man, that's just the discipline kind of seems to break down towards the end of the game. Especially when it comes to our O-line. I don't know what's going on there. I don't know if like the league's picking on us. It seems to be like we have primetime football, so like a lot of the focus is on us and on the refs too, and like I can only imagine the pressure they have to face too. But it's just when it's that obvious, it's a little hard not to talk about. But the other through point for me was just the D, like Nick was pointing to. It just got pummeled. It was like one of the first games where like they didn't shoulder up, and I can't ask them to hold us for 13 games, man. Like at this point, I'd really like the offense to have this figured out and to score more than 13 points and a half or whatever it was. I think it might have been like 6. I can't even remember the halftime score. It's just kind of blanked it out of my memory. But just a different game, just like a different team. It's hard to say where they're at because last week they looked so good. This week, I mean, if anybody out there is listening, they know a good baker that serves up some good humble pie. I need 2 or 3 of those servings because I was overestimating the Packers completely. I had them by like 10 or 13 points, I think. And so, it's just a mess overall, but we'll get more into the details here. Scott, what about you? What was your overall takeaway from the game?
It was a close game against I don't know if I want to say an even opponent, because you look at Green Bay's record and some of the games they've lost on the road in a hostile condition in prime time. And yeah, the Chiefs didn't help themselves out. But at the same time, every time they were getting back in it or gonna tie it or made a big play, it seemed like there was some sort of penalty. And I know there was the turnover later, but just like it was there for the taking. Green Bay was there to be beat, and the Chiefs just couldn't capitalize. And I don't put a lot of that on necessarily them. They moved the ball well. The defense did not play well. But they got stops in the second half when they needed to. Just frustrating. Just a game, like you feel like the Chiefs. Did anybody think that Green Bay is better than the Chiefs?
No, I don't think anybody picked them. Not on the broadcast.
To me, it's just like it reminds me of like this Colts game from last year. We lost earlier in the year where everybody's, this is that one game we have where we lose. It's like that. You know, so yeah, I just don't really. The right word is escaping me, but to me, it was just a game that was it was right there, and it was even. And if 4, 5, or 6 things go our way that didn't go our way, we come out of there with a win. And they're
It's
not
like the Lions game.
Yeah, kind of like the Lions
Sure.
game. Right. So, I don't know, Nick. Anything in particular we want to talk about? You talked about the inability for the quick strike and the plays down the field and the receivers and the passing game just not being there. We talked about this last year when we lost Tyreek Hill, and we had Juju, and Juju was a chain mover. And I know a lot of people are saying the only difference in this offense from last year to this year is Juju, and Rashee Rice is filling that role. And if you look at Juju now, well, Juju this year is not Juju from last year. Juju's knee was like on borrowed time or something last year. I don't know how he hung on and played like he did, and then goes to New England the very next year and can't get on the field, and you hear reports his knee's about to explode. But to me, Juju was at least a legit receiver you could count on to get open down the field and catch the ball and move the chains and draw attention on the defense away from MVS and away from Travis Kelce. They just don't have that. And right now, Rashee Rice, he's making some flash plays, but his hands are suspect. I went
He
on
did go
Pro
8 for 9
Football-
in this last game, though.
Right. Yeah, I did. Yeah, but I went on Pro Football Reference, and he has the highest drop percentage on the team outside of Justin Ross.
Justin
Who I didn't even count because he can't play right now. So
Who? I have a signed jersey, I think, of by some guy with that name. If anybody's interested,
and Rashee Rice, he had like 8 catches again, but it's all this throwing the ball sideways at the line of scrimmage, right
behind
at the
the
snap.
line of scrimmage. Yeah.
And you're just depending on
Wide receiver screens.
You're depending on 10, 12, 14 play drives to score. And the more plays you add to a drive, the more chances you have of a negative play or a turnover or a penalty.
Or
Nick,
sack. Crucial sack.
Yeah, Nick, the offense moved the ball, though. Green Bay defense never really stopped the Chiefs' offense. The only thing that stopped the Chiefs' offense was the Chiefs and the refs, basically.
Yeah, the difference between this year and last year is red zone conversions. That's a
100%.
massive part of
I was
it.
going to say that too.
Last year we were converting at 70% or something, and this year we're converting at 50%.
Your
I think a
mic's
lot of
doing that again.
what's going on with the wide receivers is that, like, Andy Reid's offense is like it's like an option, like it's kind of like a RPO, but it's like a route route option. So it's like you see where Mahomes throws the ball to MVS. MVS is like going, towards the center of the field, and Pat's like, well, that's like what the rule is that you should be running your route away from where that defender is. And they're just not doing what he's expecting them to do. You could see that Sky Moore on the interception, totally lost, right? He's pulling up, kind of looking for the ball, and the ball's going over here. And I don't know. I mean, Patrick obviously is going to be Patrick, and he's not going to throw the guy under the bus. But if you look at what, Mitch and Mitchell Schwartz and some of these people were saying, no, like he should have, feathered that route out. And that's where Patrick was expecting him to go. And
Kept running full speed, run the route the whole
and he slowed down. So
100% the whole time.
Patrick has a terrible poker face when he misses those passes. He's like, really? Like, not like, oh, my bad or anything like that. He's just like, dude, I don't know what to say.
Yeah, you can see him with MVS. He's like, dude, like, no. So
yeah.
I don't know. I feel like should they simplify the offense for those guys? I mean, until they can get somebody that can do it. That's my question. I mean, is some of this, if the guys prove over and over again that they're not getting the concept, should you change the concept to fit what their skill set is? And that's what I wonder, is if they're still just trotting them out there and saying, okay, well, here's what it is, and it's just they're just not getting it. It's just not clicking for whatever reason. what Patrick thinks these guys are going to be doing and where they're going to be in the field is not where they're going or where they are. And I think that that's what's really screwing up the offense.
Bo, the offense, can they get this big play thing figured out? There was a stat that they said, it was like on passes over 20 or 30 yards in the air. It was like, what was it? It was like
what was that stat? Yeah, I texted you because I was like,
one
what was that?
completion
Like
and 5 interceptions or something crazy.
right,
like
one
that.
touchdown, 5 interceptions, like not including obviously no catches, right?
Right.
Like that's the ratio.
Right. You look at Sky Moore, like when targeted, Patrick Mahomes last 2 years has thrown 6 interceptions when throwing the ball to Sky Moore, and his passer rating is abysmal. Throwing the ball to Moore. Do they just need to run the ball more, or what would you do if you were calling the plays, bro?
Running the ball more seems like, I mean, that's a hard ask for Pacheco. I mean, how many times did he run it this game? It seemed like they featured him this game, right? Or he was the only player trying and like stood out because of it. The receiving core, I don't know. It's such a riddle to me. I remember at the beginning of the season, we're talking about like who's going to make the receiving core. There's so much talent on this, and like to think that we're here now, going like, what in the hell is going on with all these guys? I just think it's as simple as trying different guys, dude, and giving different guys more options. We saw Richie James come in, and I know he's not like an all-star or breakout receiver, but way more sure-handed and like reliable than a lot of the other guys we see. Got open, which is, I didn't think that was like a talent that would needed to be like highlighted, is the ability to get open. If you get paid millions of dollars to just run and do that, like I thought that was just came with the job. But Richie James, he seems to know how to do it. So at Travis Kelce and Noah Gray, they were like the only three. Justin Watson, I got to give him credit. He's getting cheap shotted all over the place, but he still gets the ball and gets open. But everybody else, man, Tony was just non-existent. Like you're saying, Sky Moore. I mean, it looked like he ran the wrong route.
Had 33 snaps and 1 target or 1 catch.
Right. So I mean, I thought it was small things. I thought it was just like, hey, grind it out, work on your hands, eliminate penalties. But I mean, if these guys can't even get some separation and get open, and like you have Mahomes having to like throw to guys who slipped and fell on the ground and hit them in the hands that way, if that's like how he has to do it, that's how he's going to have to do it, right? Like if our guys can't get open, I mean, I don't know. I thought it was small things. It might not. It might be something bigger, but I don't know. What
To
do you
me,
think?
like this Nico Remigio that was in training camp that was making some plays. There's got to be a guy on their practice squad or a practice squad somewhere. I mean, there's how many people, how many billion people are on the planet? There's got to be a guy or two that they could find somewhere that are better and give them more than what Sky Moore and MVS are giving them at this point. I mean, they're literally giving them nothing.
Yeah,
it's mind blowing to me, and I don't know if they are trying to force that square peg in that round hole or what they're trying to do, but it's clearly not working. I'm not buying that Patrick was a bad throw and that the defender, he read the route, ran the route better than.
No, I'm not buying that either.
Than Sky Moore did. If Sky Moore runs the route like he's supposed to and runs at full speed, he's in the spot and he's fighting for the ball. The defender, that's a timing and a touch pass that was up there and floated for a while. So
in real time, we all asked it, did Sky give up on that route? Right? Like we're like, what was that? It just didn't. Nothing about it looked right.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's bad. The wide receiving core is bad. There's nothing. There's no way to sugarcoat it. There's no way to put spin on it that it's not bad. Travis Kelce had a good game. Didn't get in the end zone, but people were worried about him this last week. But when he was kind of stifled or not his normal stuff the last couple of weeks, and is he done? Is he washed? He was out there getting open, making plays, and
84 yards on 6 receptions.
The frustrating thing is when you watch the MVS catch or the MVS non-catch, the pass to him where he cut back inside instead of staying outside. Travis Kelce's wide open about.
He's like throwing his hands up
underneath him. Just throw the ball to Travis Kelce from now on, Patrick. Man, stop throwing it to these guys. I'm obviously not a professional athlete, never played quarterback in the NFL. maybe this would be frowned upon, or maybe this is just something Patrick would never do. But I mean, at some point, like, you got to go into the coach's office and say, "Look, man, these guys aren't fucking good enough. Like, I'm not throwing the ball to them anymore. Stop putting them out there. Give me somebody else, or run the ball, and we'll go back to this RPO and we'll do some of this screen pass, running back pass game like we used to do with Kareem Hunt, and out there." It's not working. And it seems like it's just so forced anytime they try to get the ball to somebody down the field right now.
Right. And you know, like what's frustrating is like it seems as like fans, some of this stuff is obvious. Like, put your better personnel in there. Maybe not put the guys in there that drop the ball or have like that, like you said, the worst INT percentage in the league. Maybe go with somebody else. Oh man, I forgot the point I was just gonna make.
There's got to be somebody.
Yeah, there's got to be somebody.
Someone somewhere better than Sky Moore. There has to. I refuse.
Well, there's
to believe
people on the team that are better.
Right.
Right.
Give Richie James his reps.
Right.
He showed more in the four reps that he got. He was as or more productive, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it was him that got tackled on that third down, which we're going to get to the referees here in a second, John. He's bringing up the Kelsey offensive pass interference. But both guys had their hands on each other, hand fighting, and before that wasn't pass interference. Anyway, I put a poll out there. Sky Moore is just so bad this year, and this is his second year. He's supposed to be getting better, and it almost seems like he's regressed from last year somehow, which almost seems impossible considering he had like 240 yards and 0 touchdowns last year. Do we think Sky Moore is on the team next year? I mean, is it that bad with the wide receiving quarter? MVS, I think that's a foregone conclusion. He'll be gone. They can save a lot of money next year by getting rid of him. But we put this week's CKL poll out about Sky Moore. Do we think he's on the team next year? Is it that bad, Nick?
So I said yes, but the question was, is he on the team, not should he be on the team? I don't think they're going to get rid of a second-round pick after 2 years.
Good point. We still have CEH, right?
So should he be on the team? No. I mean, they could find any replacement level receiver and probably get that kind of production or better out of any guy they sign off the street. So yeah, but I said yes. I don't think they're going to give up on him just yet. I think they'll probably give him at least one more season, see what he can do.
He's going to get like 10 targets next game.
Bo?
He's going to get the most targets.
Bo, you think Sky Moore is on the team week 1 next year?
I mean, I voted no because that's just what I would like to see happen. And like I said, like a personnel change I think is in order. And I don't think it's like that wild of a statement to say. I think most of Chiefs Kingdom would agree. Like, it's just not working, man. Like, it is what it is.
Yeah. Well, there was a hotter poll, 300 votes, 71% no.
I mean, if you look back at his career, what's his most memorable play? A wide open touchdown in the Super Bowl.
I would have caught that pass.
Other than that,
Nick would have.
I could have thrown him that pass. I could have caught that pass. Like,
right. Maria and John C. and Brenda and anybody in the chat or any of the three of us could have made that pass and B, caught that pass for that touchdown.
So other than that, what's he known for? I mean, muffin punts, dropping balls, running wrong routes, right?
No,
like
not
exactly
game.
A stellar record, like building up on his case. So,
right. But I think Bo's point is he's known for a lot more screw ups than
oh yeah, for sure.
Right.
Yeah,
right. Like he's had some flashes, but I mean, at this point, if we're like comparing rookies to rookies, look at what Rashee Rice is doing compared to what he did. Like already, like 5-10 times better than what the numbers he put up. So, like I said, I voted no, but I'm with Nick. He probably will be. I just don't see them abandoning him that quickly.
I voted yes. I don't think there's any way they admit that they screwed up on that pick and
right.
Get rid of him, even if he's just playing on special teams or something. But again, we've seen with Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Clyde Edwards-Helaire's been way better than Sky Moore's been. I mean, at least Clyde Edwards-Helaire's gotten a bunch of touchdowns.
Saying something right there, dude.
No, he has been. Yeah, with the ball in his hands, he's been better the last few weeks, especially.
Right. Haven't got a chance here. I'm seeing the chats pretty lively with John C. and Brenda and Laney and Big Doug and Kevin's in here. Our girl
Thank
Maria
you, everybody, for
is
joining
showing
us.
up again this
Appreciate
week. Good to see you, Maria. Thanks for joining. Thanks for being part of the chat. Makes the
Hey-o.
show a lot more fun. Okay, let's stop. Let's not talk about wide receivers anymore because we're 30 minutes in here, and I feel like this is a negative Nancy show.
I know, dude, but I got to talk about one more thing before we get off this
Oh,
game is
go
the
ahead.
defense, man. I'm sorry. The defense to me was
Well, no, I
just
wasn't going to get off the game. I was
abysmal.
going to talk about maybe something good. But go
Oh.
ahead. What you got on the defense?
Well, it still has like that negative connotation to it, right? Because like our defense, which has been top 5 defense all year, you know, holding teams to 20 points or less kind of thing, just kind of didn't show up. And again, it's not like it was expected of them to do it 13 weeks in a row or 12 weeks or whatever it is. But man, you know, like we could have used them to come up like they have in the previous weeks. And the thing I really wanted to bring up the most to me is I've just been thinking about the start of the season a lot and like the way it started out with our defense. Chris Jones holding out on his contract and not attending training camp and everything and tweeting out, "I will be defensive player of the year," wanting all this money. Takes a deal for pretty much the same thing he was going to get. Is he making a case? I don't think he's making a case for defensive player of the year by any means.
Oh,
No.
Even though we have like a top 5 defense, and like I don't know, what was your guys' take on the defense? For me, it was most notably in this past game was the pass rush was non-existent, and that's why I'm bringing up Jones so much. But what was your guys' take of the defense in this game?
You want to take that one, Nick, first? You want me to go?
They just couldn't get off the field, and they allowed long drive after long drive after long drive, and it shortened the game. And that was one of the main reasons we couldn't come back. We just didn't have the at bats to score the touchdowns or the field goals to come back. Right.
Right.
Sorry, I had a frog in my throat. But yeah, look, the first drive was over 7 minutes. Right, 13 plays. The Chiefs only had 2 real drives in the first half. It was the fastest first half I can remember out of any football game in years.
I was saying, shit, this game's going to be over by 9:15.
Yeah, so
Right.
so you just that's what you want to do, and they executed, and the defense just allowed those long drives. I know we're going to get into the refs, and that might turn into a lively discussion based on conversation I had with Scott earlier this week. But that fourth down, the hands of the face aside, why the fuck is that guy open with 3 defenders around him 30, 40 yards down the field on fourth down to start? Why isn't that just a batted pass, right? So like I want to give the defense some leniency here because Nick Bolton was out, Drew Tranquil was out, right? They suffered some injuries.
Lost our safety, right?
Yeah, they lost their safety. Like so I'm not gonna sit here and trash them, but they just allowed Green Bay to really eat up the clock in this game, and it really hurts the offense when we don't have that big playability to move the ball quickly. I mean, it was a perfectly executed game plan by Green Bay. Kudos to them. Nobody's been able to do that to our defense this year. So
the defense in this game reminded me a lot of the Raiders game, though. I know they ended up giving up 28 points and the late there, but look, they came out and they kind of started slow and maybe flat-footed and gave up a long touchdown drive. And then Chiefs, they get down and they had to settle for 3 because of a bullshit penalty on Creed Humphrey. And then they marched right back down, scored another one. But in the second half, especially there in late in the third and then up through the fourth quarter, the defense was getting stops when they needed to and holding them to field goals and giving the offense a chance.
Was it too little, too late?
Well, it was too little, too late because of the offense, I think, not necessarily because of the defense.
Yeah.
So, look, was it their best performance? No. Are they going to have an off game occasionally? Yes. Is this the NFL? Yes. The other team, Christian Watson and Jordan Love, I mean, those guys they're decent NFL players. They're not superstars, but they're not scrubs either, right? So that team, Green Bay, they had won a handful of games. I think they had won 4 out of their last 5 or maybe 3 or 4 in a row even.
I underestimated the shit.
They were
out
at
of them, that's
home.
for sure.
They were at home. They were fired up to play in prime time. So, yeah, the defense Was it their best game of the year? No. But I still felt like they played well enough in the second half.
Yeah, in the second half they tightened up. We could have won, for sure.
They tightened up, and our offense was also helping them out by getting long drives and giving them rest in between. So I'm not overly concerned about the defense. It was almost like a mirror image of the Raiders game, right? I mean, we win the toss, we defer, boom, long touchdown drive. We move the ball down, but then right away, boom, they get another touchdown drive, 14 points right out of the gate, first 2 drives for the offense. But after that, they only gave up 14 points the rest of the game, and some of that was because of turnovers and missed opportunities by the offense, and also bullshit penalty calls where the defensive wide receiver gets tackled on 3rd down. Again, I think that was Richie James. So, yeah, no one's going to mistake that with. I don't think that will be known as the defense's masterpiece necessarily.
No,
but
yeah, it was just so disappointing for them playing so well, right? To have such a lackluster performance, and for me, like I said, the pass rush, but also like the tackling just seemed off. Like they couldn't tackle. Right. I mean, I can't tell you how many guys I saw straight up just lose their jockstrap on the field from getting juked out of it. Just whoop 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 gone. Right? It just I thought it was small things, but it's like really basic things that these guys like every phase of the team is missing.
Right. And
They weren't far off from winning that game.
I also thought Green Bay did a good job of picking on maybe a weak spot in our secondary. Josh Williams, number 2.
Mm-hmm.
Snead and McDuffie have been locked down, and to me, it looked like on a bunch of these big pass plays, the guys were up. The touchdown was Williams. He gave up another first down play there where he just fell down in the middle of the route.
Right.
I want to say it was a big 3rd down conversion. So they had chances to get off the field on 3rd down. They just didn't. But ultimately, in the end, they, I think, played well enough in the second half and made enough adjustments to slow the bleeding enough for the offense to come back, and they just didn't. So shift gears here, talk about the offense, the good part of the offense. The run game looked good, although Green Bay is one of the poorer run defenses in the NFL. They also had some of the fewest amount of yards or rushing attempts against them, so it's a little bit of an odd stat for them. But Pacheco has over 100 yards. He's run the ball well. Nick,
6 yards a carry.
Like what you saw out of him?
Yeah, look, Pacheco was a beast in that game. He had a couple of runs that made it to the Angry Runs, segment on Good Morning Football. He didn't win, which was a bunch of bullshit. But aside from that, look, he's got a lot of energy. It seems like he's getting better at hitting the hole. And he had a couple of runs in that game where the one down near the goal line, he's just doesn't stop pushing the entire pile. 6 yards a carry. You could argue that not giving him the ball more is what cost us the game. The Sky Moore interception was first down when you've got Isaiah Pacheco averaging 6 yards a carry. Yep. Maybe you should be giving Pop the ball there, And to
add to your point there too, that was a point in the game where it was late where the Chiefs were needing to kill some clock to cut their defense slack before scoring to take the lead.
Yeah.
They're late. So, but go ahead, finish your thought, Nick.
Yeah, it's just he was a dominant player in that game. He was, I think somebody, I forget who earlier in the chat said, it was like Butker and him was kind of the only dudes that came to play. They were the only ones that were really executing at a super high level. I'll say that for sure. And he just, but he only got 18 carries, right? I mean, if he's pushing 22, 25 carries, we could win that game. But yeah, the run game was, that's what we need when our pass game is struggling, and we've got a guy that's running 6 yards a carry. One of the other things that I'll say that I don't really see a lot, we're getting 6 yards a carry. I don't see a lot of play action passes where we're utilizing that.
Yeah. I was going to bring that up on that.
These guys to run up to the line and maybe help our receivers out a little bit. It seems like we underutilize that now that we've got a good running back. I know we do some RPOs, which is kind of the same thing. Yeah. But the RPO is more of a one look pass right? So,
I don't like the RPO just because it puts Mahomes in
Right,
dangerous
yeah.
way, right? Like just
Yeah.
get creamed.
Right.
But dude,
The
you
Cleveland
nailed
playoff
it, dude.
game,
Like
right?
that play action pass, like that's definitely missing. We saw that on that 2-point conversion, right? They just handed it off to him. I mean, like you're thinking, yeah, he's getting 5-6 yards of play, but I text us in that group chat. I was just like, dude, it's football 101 to play action past that, and they did it to us, right? They were doing the same thing, running it on us, got down to the goal line, play action, toss to their tight end. Like, I don't know, we have some pretty good tight ends. I think we could throw to in that same position. I don't know. It's 2020 is always hindsight, right? But man, the running game was solid. I mean, it was so good that even CEH looked pretty decent on the 3 or 4 carries that he got, right? Like, so to the credit to the offensive line there, but that offensive line looked a little suspect to me this game.
All right, Pacheco looked good. Got a man, go KC. Good to see you all. Appreciate you.
Hey-o.
Swinging by.
yeah, I mean, he did get
that was late in
ejected,
the
and
fourth.
he got a penalty that really hurt us at the end of the game.
Yeah, I
I'll
was
say
gonna
this
talk-
in his defense. At that point, he thought that we had turned the ball over and the game was essentially over. But yeah, I'd like to see him not try to punch a player in the face
Right.
and get a 15-yard penalty at the end of the game when we're trying to win. That definitely.
Everybody
not-
says
not
he runs
great.
angry. They didn't realize he was running angry.
Oh, no,
Yeah, no, he just is angry, right? He's just
He's just always angry.
You know,
And also in
I-
his
I-
defense, though, he got blocked to the ground, and the dude was sitting there like pushing his helmet into the
Right.
ground, right, man? And like, I get it. It's your job to keep the guy down if he goes down, but pushing the
Again-
guy's helmet into the ground is just going to build up that frustration and kind
Again,
of an expected
referees-
reaction.
referees not doing their job, losing control of the situation by not throwing a flag for the guy rubbing the guy's face in the ground. Standing right there, he saw him do it, obviously. But it goes back to that old thing too, where the guy that retaliates is the one that gets the penalty. Why
Yeah.
is the guy that retaliates the one that gets the penalty? Why don't you like the instigator to stop the instigate? You know what
Where's
I mean?
the booth review that happens in every single game except
Yeah,
a
that's
Chiefs game? We're like, we just actually automatically reversed that call from the booth, and no need to have a coach challenge that or anything. We looked at it 30 different ways, non-existent in our games.
Yeah, Travis is in the house. Good to see you, Travis. Thanks for swinging by.
Hey,
Look, I also thought a missed opportunity was it the first drive or the second drive? I think it was the first drive where Pacheco had like a long run that got us down to the goal line to like the 6 or the 8 yard line. And then they call a pass play on first down, and we took the sack, and now it's 2nd and goal, and it's long 2nd and
like
goal.
2nd and 18 or
I thought
2nd
that
and
was,
20.
especially after Pacheco had some mojo on that drive and had just ripped off a long run. Right there's maybe a point where you run instead of pass on first down.
Yeah.
So play calling a little bit questionable, but look, Isaiah Pacheco was, I mean, Travis Kelce had himself a good game too, but I mean, Isaiah Pacheco was the man, and he was the one that was getting the yards and getting the job done. Like to think maybe could have leaned on him a little bit more, but again, the guy had over 100 yards and got in the end zone. So
I'd give him the game ball even though he got ejected. Like, if I'm a coach,
but
I
you can't
understand
have
the
that penalty,
context
though,
and
man,
the
because,
frustration.
like,
Dude, I've
can't.
seen guys do
Move
way
them.
more and not get ejected, right? Like I understand
I don't know
the
about
severity
that.
of the 15 yards and everything. You
That
don't
was a
know about
clear-
that? I've seen
that was a-
helmets
that was
get thrown and people still get to play, dude. I
Yeah,
don't
but
know.
if you kick someone or punch someone, you're getting kicked out automatically.
I've seen
And there
people
was
get
no
kicked
doubt
and
about
punched
that. I mean,
and
he
not
looked-
getting kicked out.
It looked like
See,
he
the-
was giving the old Mortal Kombat uppercut, man. He was like down low and his fucking arm came up, man.
I don't know.
I didn't
Context
have
matters, like you said. There was a
I didn't have
lot
an
of
issue
going
with
on
him
right
getting
there.
ejected. I mean, I wasn't
Well,
happy.
neither
about
did
that,
I.
but-
Like, I'm not saying I have an issue with it. I'm saying I would still give him the ball even though he got ejected, man. Like his
Yeah, I
penalty
don't know.
didn't. I don't know.
put us from the 35 to the 50 with 30 seconds left, and you need a touchdown and 2-point conversion. Man, dumb penalty. We've talked about him before in the past. He runs angry, and part of his game is that nastiness and that attitude. But I've worried about him too. The way he pops up, and I don't know if that's his nickname, Pop, right? Because he pops right up after the play, but he gets up flailing them arms and overzealously. And I've been wondering, is he gonna get up
He's
and
gonna get a taunting.
knock someone over and get a
taunting
penalty? You know what I mean? I don't have a problem with you popping right back up, but the guy is I don't know, maybe he's a little too angry at times.
Touche,
Maybe he
Brenda.
needs to like just tone that down a little bit, especially after the play is over or when he thinks the play is over. Love the attitude when you're running, especially inside the tackles, and you're carrying piles and you're breaking tackles and getting first downs and getting big chunk plays. So just tone it down a little bit and temper it, especially after the play is over. Don't be getting kicked out of the game because think about it too. If that game goes to overtime, you need Isaiah Pacheco in the overtime.
Yeah.
And the Chiefs couldn't have won that game on that possession. They could have tied it with a touchdown and a 2-point conversion. So, yeah, a really, really bad penalty on his part. We got to get to it before we start talking about this Bills game next week. Look, man, Nick and I have gotten into plenty of heated conversations about refereeing. I know people like to take the noble high road, and I'm never going to blame referees for a loss, and that's the ballot of the loser, right? But you look at this game. The Chiefs are driving after they're down 7-0. Patrick Mahomes runs the ball down to the 1 or the 2 yard line. They call one of the worst holding calls I've ever seen in my entire life on Creed Humphrey. Moves
Yeah, that
us
was
back
terrible.
outside of the 10-yard line. Now you've got 1st and goal, and it's 1st and basically 12 or 14 or 15. Not 1st and 2 at the goal line. That cost us 3 points. You look at the 4th down conversion by Green Bay that led to a touchdown that stretched that lead out, clear as day, obvious hands to the face. The guy is beat, too. The Green Bay offensive lineman is beat, has both hands pushing the guy's head. Jordan Love is that far from getting sacked when he throws that lollipop up that dropped into that guy's lap while he was laying on the ground. Granted, you know what? Maybe the defense can make a play, but you know what? That play shouldn't have counted because it should have been either A, a penalty, and now 4th and 12, and they're punting, or B, Jordan Love gets sacked and the Chiefs get the ball right there because the guy was whipped on that play. You go back and look at the replay, you look at the still shot. I think the guy gets there and sacks him or at least disrupts the pass enough to where it doesn't get that far downfield. Maybe you're looking at interception. They had a play on Chiefs were driving later in the game trying to I can't remember if they had taken the lead or scored when they got that drive. It was after one of the defensive stops that was key, that was really huge there in the second half. They just tackled a wide receiver in the middle of the field on 3rd down. We have to punt there. So there's a missed opportunity. They gave Green Bay the ball. I think they went down and kicked a field goal after that. You look at the pass interference at the end of the game that should have put the ball at what, about the 5 or the 6 yard line on MVS. Then the Hail Mary, they shoved Travis Kelce out of the way, not playing the ball whatsoever. I don't care if it's a Hail Mary. I'm not going to complain and whine too much if a crowd of guys are jumping and maybe one guy's got his arm on the guy's shoulder from behind. But before the ball even gets there, you're just taking probably the best jump ball catcher on the team and Travis Kelce that has the surest hands on the team and just shoving him out of the way from behind. You've got the rules expert saying, oh, yeah, no, I mean, not only should that have been a pass interference on MVS, but
They're
that should
saying
have been pass
obvious
interference
call.
on the end
Obvious,
zone.
right?
Look, man, when you're playing in an NFL game, it's a league of parity. Are the Chiefs better than Green Bay? Yeah. Are they that much better than Green Bay? No. Outside of maybe playing the Carolina Panthers or one of these 2 or 3 win teams like the Cardinals, you've got close games. I don't care how good you are. You're not going to overcome that many bad calls. I mean, it was critical in key junctures of the game from the first quarter all the way to the 4th quarter, the last minute of the game. So, you know what? And people talk about how this is the worst NFL officiating they've ever seen and how bad it is, and it's pathetic, it's incompetent, but it doesn't determine the outcome of the game. To me, it's a bunch of BS. It is. I'm sorry. I
All right,
put
Nick,
as
let's
much
hear your
or more
rebuttal to
blame
this.
on the refs than I do the Chiefs in that game.
So what I hear you saying is that the Chiefs couldn't have won that game.
No, I don't think so.
So there's it was impossible
Not
for
the way
them
that
to
was
win.
not the way it was refereed.
Yeah,
If
I
half
disagree
those
with that.
calls that should have been called or weren't called go their way, I think they win definitely.
The Chiefs could have defended that pass on 4th down. Right? Now that's a touchdown off the board. We get the ball back. There's 7 of the 8 points.
But see, my point is they
And we
did
get the ball-
defend the play. The guy beat his man and was going to sack the quarterback and is being held by the face mask.
Yeah, I just think the Chiefs could have. There were plays left on the field that the Chiefs could have made, and they could have won the game. So what? They got a bad holding call at the end zone. Like, all that stuff is going to even out over time. And they still could have scored a touchdown. It's not like the refs gave the ball to the other team. Like, yeah, they made it harder.
First
In the
and goal
past,
from
we
the
overcame
14.
that. In the past, the Chiefs overcame that stuff. And last Sunday night, they didn't.
Well, yeah, because they had Tyreek Hill and they had guys on the offense that had playmakers. They don't have the
Yeah.
playmakers.
Well, somebody else has got to step up. Like you, I just
They're
were
more
the
even.
calls
They're
bad?
more-
Yeah. Did they make it harder to win? Yes. Did it piss me off? Yeah. I mean, I was tweeting about it too. But like sitting there and saying that the Chiefs could not have won that game, that it was impossible for them to win that game, I just don't buy that. They could have won if they had
that's
played
a-
better.
the holding
Dude,
call
the only
on
thing I'm going to say
goal
is
line.
like what 3 of those major penalties that you're talking about, we had 19 points in the fourth quarter, man. And like, kind of hate to say it, like you can't leave it up. It's the old cliche. You can't leave it up to the refs, right? But like it really is true. When you have the best quarterback in football, the best tight end in football, and a receiving core, regardless if it's average, below average, you have, like I said, the best quarterback. You should be able to score more than 19 points in a football game. And so, like, leaving it to the refs, yeah, I agree with Nick, man. They made it harder, but, like, they made it harder to steal that game away. They made it harder to steal that victory because, dude, we did not even come close to winning that game on a skill level.
I mean, Patrick Mahomes made the play to get it to the 1 or the 2 yard line. And they called.
Yeah, he's the best quarterback. He does that shit all the fucking time. Like,
Right,
yeah,
but it got
I'm not
taken away.
discounting that.
It got taken away It got taken away, and it shouldn't have got taken away because it wasn't a penalty.
No, it was a terrible
Chiefs
holding
get-
call.
The Chiefs get a touchdown there. What do you think the conversion
Or
rate
a
is
field goal,
league-wide, I
because we
wonder,
get
on
way
first
more
and goal
field
from the
goals.
13?
You can't say we get a touchdown there because we get way more field goals in the red zone than we do touchdowns. You can't say
that's
we
not
get a
guaranteed
touchdown there.
They get a touchdown if they're at the 2 or the 1 yard line.
No, you
Isaiah
can't say that.
Pacheco, the way
dude.
he
You
was
can't say
running,
that. One, it didn't happen, and two,
I
that's
can say
not
that.
the stats
because
don't
they
back
did it
that
later
up.
in the game. Isaiah
The
Pacheco,
stats don't back that up.
Isaiah Pacheco ran the ball into the end zone twice from the 1 or the 2.
Isaiah
right?
Pacheco got stuffed 2 yards behind the line on a goal line for a 2-point conversion. You can't say
One
that
time.
would happen.
One time.
That's all
That's
it
what-
takes, man, is the one time.
No, look, man. When you're playing by a different set,
Are
of
you
rules,
arguing
the
that
other
we
team-
have like running backs should be featured and more often?
when
now?
you no, what I'm saying is they're going to score a touchdown from the 1 or the 2 yard line. I feel that they are.
I know that you feel that way, but
Go play-
stats
go
would not
play
back that up.
poker with somebody that has 7 cards and you got 5. When they're playing by a different set of rules, I just felt it was a difference in the game. Close game, 2 teams playing fairly evenly. One got hosed over and over and over and over, and the other didn't. And I mean, it shouldn't. That 4th and 2 should have counted. He should have got sacked, or it should have been a penalty.
Well, they shouldn't have let the guy be open down the field on 4th down. 40
It
yards
should have been
downfield.
4th and 2. It should have been 4th and 10. They should have had to punt. Like, I don't understand what you're saying.
It should have been 4th and 12. That's the point I'm trying to make. Like the play shouldn't have counted.
Not on
But it
account of
did.
the refs. It should have been on the defense making stops, and it should have been 4th and 10, 3 and out. They shouldn't even been thinking about going for it on 4th and down. So the defense needs to step it up there. It's not on the refs.
I mean, if you're expecting the defense, if you're expecting them to get a 3 and out on every drive, that's just not realistic.
Did I ever
man.
say that?
They got him
No.
to 4th down?
I'm saying on this one play. You can't. No, I'm not saying every play. I'm saying that one
They got
time.
that's exactly what you
And they
just said,
didn't.
Joe. They should have had him at 3rd and 10. Well, it's not realistic to have a team in 3rd and 10 all the time. It's just not realistic.
It's not realistic to say that the refs are always going to make the right call, especially when we know they're not.
One bad call.
They didn't make the
You
right
had
call.
5 or
They
6
gave the. Oh, hold on. They gave the Chiefs a free 15-yard penalty on that last drive. That was not roughing the passer on Mahomes. He was in
That
bounds.
that didn't put them at the 1 yard line. They didn't get any points.
It was
out
a
of that.
15-yard penalty, and then they didn't call forward progress stop. Obviously on MVS, the sideline judge was right there. He was going sideways or backwards, out of bounds. They stopped the clock. That gave the Chiefs
Right,
an
but
extra
that's because
15 or
he's getting
20
thre-
seconds.
That's because he was getting pushed out of bounds backwards. If you run out of bounds backwards,
No, he was getting pushed out of bounds backwards.
I
The
don't
clock
think-
should have ran.
I don't think the clock runs
Yeah,
if you have
forward
if
progression
drag
No,
starts
that's
backwards.
exactly
backwards.
what happens.
You have to
So I'm
run
just
out
saying, like,
backwards, right?
I think John C. I like the way he said it. He said we were mediocre and the refs finished the job. I'm not saying that the refs like didn't impact plays and that it wasn't close, and then like the game tilted in favor of Green Bay because of some poor plays, but like the Chiefs could have played better and they could have won. We have the talent on the team to do it. Like we just have guys that like run the wrong fucking routes, and we got injured on defense, and we didn't make plays on defense. We allowed them. Like you're gonna like you can't sit there and say, well, they had this 13 play 7-minute drive and be like, yeah, well, there's this one play that didn't go our way. Well, what about the other 12 plays on that drive? Like, you got to make stops. You can't let 13 play drive, 8 play drive go over and over and over again, and then try to point to, well, this one guy, this one time. Like, to me, that's what like irritates me. It's not about being noble. It's just about like the Chiefs had things in their control that they could have controlled, that they could have done to win the game. And the refs,
like running the ball to the 2-yard line and it getting taken away, and beating your man on the defense, and then holding you by the face mask.
Time it's happened,
and getting
like,
open downfield with the game on the line, and you get tackled before the ball gets there.
And then they call holding the play of the Super Bowl, and the field was slippery. That's what it sounds like to me.
They made the plays to win, and they got taken away.
Yeah.
And you know what? One bad call. I'm not going to blame you on one bad call, but there was 5 or 6 just atrocious calls that at key points in the game that kept the Chiefs from tying and taking the lead and winning the game. So, yeah, I'm going to put as much blame on them as I am the Chiefs. Absolutely. 100%.
Agree to disagree, man, because
you know,
I don't know. I don't think you can score. Well, you can keep talking over me, but I don't think you can score 19 points and sit there and say that, oh, it was the refs' fault. It was the refs' fault.
Had more than 19 points if it wasn't for the refs, is my point.
Yeah, but dude, we heard your points.
Well, you keep – all right, we'll just move on. Because you don't like you just don't
when you have the worst red zone percentage, and it, like not the worst. I think we're like 26th, so we're not the worst. But like when you have the worst conversion percentage, man, like you can't blame the refs because you can't get in the end zone. Yeah, they make it harder by making the distance a little bit further. But when you have Patrick Mahomes, like, come on, you're telling me like 10 yards is a different dude. He makes 3rd and 18s like they're nothing. He did that in this game. Little jump past Kelsey, 20-something yards, bro. Like, come on, dude. Like,
that's less
get
than
out of here.
50%. That's less than a 50% rate that they complete 3rd and long. So he doesn't do it every time. And yeah,
we have a worse red zone finish rate. What are you talking about?
What would your red zone touchdown rate look like if you didn't get hosed on the 2 bad calls? They did the same thing against the Raiders in the game last week. Just kept calling penalty after penalty after penalty when the Chiefs are getting the ball right down the goal line and moving them back, making them kick a field goal. The Chiefs would have had more than 19 points if the referees didn't absolutely freaking screw them. That's my point. They would have had more. They scored 19 points in lieu of getting hosed over and over and over. And again, it wasn't one play, but
agree to disagree, I guess.
Well,
when you play, you just feel like you're playing by a different set of rules than the other team. When they're allowed to hold guys by the face mask and they're not getting holding calls. There was a stretch where I think they finally called a holding call against Green Bay in the 2nd or 3rd quarter of that game. That was 7 quarters in a row that the Chiefs' opponent didn't get called for a penalty or a hold. You want to tell me that there wasn't one penalty against the Raiders in that entire game last week or in the first 2 or 3 quarters of the game against Green Bay? Give me a break, man.
No one's saying that.
So when you're going up against that, yeah, I think that definitely sways the outcomes of games when they're close. And when you're on the road and you're in a hostile environment and you're making plays and they're moving you back and they're taking you from the 2 to the 12 and they're letting them tackle your guys at the goal line, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say, yeah, that definitely dictates and has a big determination on who wins at the end of the game.
Okay, well, I think we're wearing the chat out here, so you ready to move on to Bills game?
Yeah, I'm ready.
I don't know where Bo went, but okay, Scotty, what are you looking forward to here in this upcoming Bills game? What are your thoughts?
Man, I don't really know like what to think about. I don't know what to think about the Bills. They're what? They're 6-6 right now. They played the Eagles tough. Maybe could have, should have won that game. They beat the Dolphins handily, easily in the air. Josh Allen makes insane, badass plays, but he also leads the league in turnovers again. Chiefs defense really hasn't been opportunistic, getting a lot of turnovers this year. So I don't know if that plays well into our hands. We're playing at home. Bills took care of us back-to-back years, right? The last 2 years at Arrowhead in the regular season. Obviously, Chiefs took care of business in the playoffs.
Do we feel like that was a different Bills team, though? I do. I feel like that was
No, that's what
a
I was
much
saying.
more dominant, much scarier team. Kind of
No,
like
yeah,
us
that's what
right
I'm saying.
now.
I don't know if you could hear us when you were off camera there a second ago, but like I just don't know what to think about this Bills team. I don't know if they're that good, if they're not that good as they were, because they show flashes and they have games. Like I said, they whipped the Dolphins, and they should have beat the Eagles really, and gave that game away there at the end. This is like a huge. The Bills are such a wild card for me this year. I mean, I don't know. What do you guys think about the Bills, Bo?
It's one of the few things I feel like I've gotten right this year out of all my predictions is that they were not going to be the same team as they were last year. I've had to put my foot in my mouth about so many other things I've tried to call out, but that was one I was just like, yeah, I mean, it just so much turmoil between the receiving core and the quarterback and the coach and the management. There just seemed like just a team in like disarray, and they're not too dissimilar from us. They have flashes of brilliance. You're like, whoa, that's the Bills. We're like, whoa, that's the Chiefs. Just certain plays, you're like, oh yeah, that's them. But then other times you're like, who is this team? I mean, Josh Allen, I think he has the most turnovers in the league, or he had the most turnovers in the league going into the bye week with 14 interceptions or something like that and 3 fumbles. So I mean, yeah, they're one of those anomalies, right? Like which Bills team are you going to get to play this week? I mean, they to our credit, I guess, they're a little battered, just like the same way we are. They have a lot of injuries that they're dealing with. I know Josh Allen has a shoulder injury that's been kind of nagging him all season. They kind of officially list him on their injury report for it, even though he's practicing. I don't think they're ever going to be disclosing any injuries that he might have, though. But yeah, dude, and honestly, they can be lethal when they want to. I mean, they have a pretty good running back in Cook. I think he's averaging like 5 or 6 yards a carry this season. I mean, that's all season, not just a couple games. They got Diggs, they got Davis and Shakir, the receiving core. Although I think before their bye week, I remember hearing like Diggs, or maybe Diggs' family saying like, Josh Allen's the problem here. He's always been the problem. Like, get us out of here. So like, we'll see how that plays out coming back
like
in.
That his brother didn't start, or that Josh Allen didn't start going off until his brother got there, right?
Right. So like, there's that. That still like never really got squashed. So they're still kind of contending with that. So it's just like big question marks all around too for me. But I think all those things kind of boast in our favor a little bit, right? Turmoil on their side, their number one receiver not meshing with their QB, their coach kind of falling off. I think somebody was saying like if they don't win this game, his job might be on the chopping block. So just interesting. And I know they're, like I said, their D's banged up, but they have a really good D. So it'd be interesting to see how our offense can perform against them.
Yeah, I mean, I always hear every year about how good their defense is, and then they play the Chiefs, or they play top offense. The Eagles lit them up.
Yeah.
Their defense
they
didn't
do that.
They get the beneficiary of playing the Patriots, and they get the beneficiary of playing the Jets twice a year. They played other couple teams that have really, really just bad offenses. So I'm always like hesitant to really buy in that their defense is really all that good. I mean, I think the Chiefs defense is better than the Bills defense this year.
I bet you people think that about our defense too, and then they look at that Green Bay game and they're just like, this defense.
That's one game though. I mean, before that game,
we know the Bills team better though.
Broncos game.
Right? I mean, we've played the Bills as much as any non-division opponent out of anybody over the last few years, right? So, like them and the Bengals, we've had the most games against because of the postseason. So,
the new
I do feel, I do feel like, Spags knows Josh Allen, his tendencies a lot more than somebody like Jordan Love, where they could maybe have some surprises. There's not going to be any surprises for either team going.
Yeah, I don't. You're kind of muffled there. What did you say?
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can now. It's like going in and out, whatever's going
Oh,
on. Audio.
Okay,
Yeah,
I
just like
said.
the last 10 seconds.
Oh,
kinda
I
trailed
said
off there.
there's not going to be any surprises for either team going into this one, right? I mean, there's not going to be any surprises. Like Green Bay could surprise us with stuff because we haven't played them, but we've prepared for this team several times. So, yeah, I mean, they are an anomaly. They're roller coaster Allen. Nick Wright nailed it. So, really, this is a game where like no outcome is really going to surprise me at this point because the way the Chiefs played this past week, if the Bills are on fire, like we could easily, we could lose this game by more than one score. We could shut the Bills offense down and, or it could just be like a close game. Really, the only thing that's going to surprise me is if it's a shootout. I don't think that we're equipped right now for a big shootout against another opponent. I could be wrong. Please prove me wrong that, we can score 35 points in a shootout if we need to. But yeah, I think it's just going to come down to, I haven't heard about Drew Tranquil, but is Nick Bolton coming back this week? Right? They're putting out some media that like Nick Bolton is going to play. Do you guys think he's going to play?
He practiced, but I highly doubt he plays, man.
Yeah.
I don't know. If he's practicing, that's usually a pretty good sign that you're going to play. I mean,
Dude, yeah, and it did say full participant. Didn't say like DNP or LP. It said FP, right? So
yeah, I think this is one of the situations with Drew Tranquil being hurt, or with the concussion probably being out. Yeah. That you can say, Nick, hey man,
we need you, buddy.
You come back a week earlier than anticipated, brother.
We got Jack Cochran calling plays, buddy.
Red.
We're gonna need you here on that green dot duties.
Right. And no hate on Jack Cochran. Okay, he got thrown into a position
right.
He probably is not ready for. And when you're on your third string, anything in the NFL, there's still NFL players, but come on, no one's got 3 Pro Bowlers at a position, right? No one's got a third string All Pro or Pro Bowl linebacker or wide receiver
on their third string, right.
Or anywhere. So, yeah,
the 49ers had it last year on their QB bench apparently, but that got wiped out. So they had to go to their 4th string. But yeah,
right. Bills. Safe to say the Bills need this game more than the Chiefs. Right?
Yeah, what does this game mean for each team in your guys' opinions?
Well, I guess it depends on the way you want to look at it. I mean, the Bills are 6-6. If they go to 6-7, I doubt they make the playoffs. Especially with the strength of their schedule coming up down the stretch here. Chiefs, if they lose this game, you fall to 8-5. You're still pretty comfortably in the lead in the division, depending on what Denver does, because Denver did us a favor by losing to the Texans. It's definitely
so
more
they're
of
like
a
on
must
5 of 6 right now, right?
Right. It's definitely more of a must win for Buffalo than the Chiefs.
Oh yeah,
you guys both agree with that.
Yeah, this could be the nail in the coffin for the Bills season if they lose, right?
Right.
I think it is the nail in the coffin for. I mean, they go to what? They're going under 500 in a tight packed AFC race for the playoffs, all at that same record.
There's a
6
bunch
and 6
of teams though that are only one game behind them, right?
Yeah, but there's like
7-5 or whatever,
but they're all fighting for that one spot because like everybody else is 8-4 or 9-3, right? Like the top 5 teams are 9-3 or 8-4.
Well, yeah, I mean the Ravens
7 will probably make it. If the Bills finished in 7, they might be that 7 seed, right?
Right. I mean, I don't think the Bills are going to catch the Dolphins to win the division, but what I'm saying is, right now you've got the Browns and you've got the Steelers and you've got
Texans.
Who was the other team there? They're all like with that 7-5-ish.
Houston and Denver.
Houston and them are all in that 6-6, 7-5 range. So they'll still have a decent chance at a wild card, but that's definitely not what they were coming into this season anticipating, especially not since they were putting up Super Bowl trophy banners in their practice facility. So just still one of the funniest things ever to me. Like,
Whoops.
Maybe don't put the picture of the trophy up in your building till you get one, but
What an interesting
that's
move,
it's the
dude.
only
Like,
thing they
I'm
can do.
still
is put
trying
a
to
picture up,
decipher what that meant.
right?
What
They
that
can't like
means.
put the trophy in there because they don't have one. So picture is the only
Right.
option at that point.
Right. Well, I mean, what do we think the Chiefs' key to winning the game is? Is it the defense turning things around? Is it offense is going to have to score this time? Is it leaning into Isaiah Pacheco and the running game more since the passing game hasn't really been all that outstanding this year? Kind of like we were talking about earlier. What do you think, Bo?
We kind of alluded to it a lot, or at least I did a little bit, was Josh Allen's run threat. I think that's going to be a key, especially if Nick Bolton doesn't play and Drew Tranquill doesn't play, if they're both still, limited in their ability to get out on the field, and we do have Conkrin in there, like, is he going to be able to spy Allen enough? Because, I mean, that guy, when he's on, he's lethal with his legs. I mean, he's really hard to stop on the ground, and they have some serious threats downfield that give him that space to run, and so it's gonna really expose whether or not our linebacking core is up to par or not. Other than that, it's the same kind of thing we've been doing all year, man, just containing wide receiver ones. I think we've done a great job. I think we're gonna have to do it again with Diggs, right? I think you're gonna see Diggs and Snead combo all day. I think they're gonna test that. They're gonna try to see if it's still there. I think they're gonna try to get it to Diggs just simply for what we were talking about earlier with all the trash talk that's going on between his family and everything. So I can see a lot of that going on and being like the keys, like just being able to stop Josh Allen's run threat and Cook's run threat for that matter, being 5-6 yards of carry. That's kind of been like a big Achilles heel for us. I feel like is the run game, the run defense there. So yeah, run defense is going to be my key to the game. What about you, Nick?
My key is not only going to be Snead and Diggs, but McDuffie and Davis. Gabe Davis, for whatever reason, has destroyed us in previous matchups, and so we've got to really limit him. That, and I'm going to say wide receiver connection. Can our wide receivers get on the same page with Mahomes and do what he's expecting them to do? That's the key. That's the ultimate thing that I think has been holding them back. I mean, so is this going to be a game where we're on the same page, or are we going to see Patrick throwing his hands on his head and, telling his receivers, hey, this is where you were supposed to go? So those are the two things that I would say. I mean, ultimately, I'd like to see, points. Yeah, Lane. Yeah. The key to the game is going to be scoring more points than the other team.
The old John Madden.
Yeah. The team that scores the most points normally wins. Yeah, so those are the things that I'm going to look for. I would really like to see us rotate and have different guys getting the lion's share of the reps. I just
that'd be nice.
I mean, we got these guys that are kind of sucking up reps that aren't getting any targets. So I don't know. What do you think, Scotty?
Jerick McKinnon practiced today. He's been practicing this week. Hopefully we can get him back. I feel like that's kind of been a part of our screen game and our passing attack that has been missing this last couple 2-3 weeks here with him out.
Yeah, it's been
I don't think at this point in his career he's like a Christian McCaffrey or something. I'm not trying to say that, but the guy can get into space and make guys miss, which I love Pacheco, and he's a tough runner and he makes lots of great plays, but when they, especially in like the passing game, but when they get him out in space, I don't see him making guys miss one-on-one, right?
Yeah.
Like you see McKinnon weaving in and out of traffic and making that initial defender miss. So to me, I think I'm just at a point where I don't think you can count on the wide receivers to be winning us games. It's going to have to be screen games. It's going to have to be trying to run the ball some. It's going to be having to be creative with getting Travis Kelce, figuring out a way to kind of scheme him open, because I just don't see it with the wide receivers. I don't see it getting better this year. It's week 13 and it hasn't gotten better. I mean, you have 4 weeks left in the regular season, 5 weeks. I mean, what are you expecting? So
guys run the right way.
Run the right routes. Do your job. Just do your job, man.
This is the magic week they figure it out.
I hope
I don't
so.
Sure.
Hope
All I
so.
want
Yeah,
for
it's like,
Christmas is the receivers and Mahomes to be on the same page.
I hope I have
Dude,
enough
go
money
get those
to-
receivers and Mahomes the new Call
Yeah,
of
the boss.
Duty or something. I feel like they're missing that Call of Duty moment, right? Where they just all like, oh yeah, man, we went out and got beers and got faded and just got right out and kicked ass at Call of Duty all night, right? Like, go
I mean,
go
I
do
had
a
a boss
roast
who used
course
to
or
say hope
something.
is not a good business plan. So you're probably
No, I
right.
mean,
Scott.
No, it's not. I mean, it's like, well, I hope I find
It's
out
the
a way
start
to
of
have
every
money to make my
business,
house
though.
payment. This month. I probably want like a solid plan that you're going to be able to make it. So, yeah, right now, sad to say with Patrick Mahomes as the quarterback, but getting Rashee Rice these touches and figuring out a way to get him where he can get some yak and get Pacheco going, maybe get Jerick McKinnon in there. And yeah, the defense is going to have to not put him in an instant hole.
John, see, I don't think Tony gets to go deep on the 3 times he's in there, the 3 snaps he's in.
Right.
He's either
I don't
getting
know.
thrown to behind the line of scrimmage or he's blocking.
I don't know if Tony's still hurt or what the deal with him is. I mean, he's in the game, but not very much. And
Yeah.
he's not really doing much downfield, which we saw him doing in the first couple weeks.
You know, he's not doing much downfield, but like the last couple games, he's getting like 2 looks, and his 2 looks haven't been bad to me. And like, I just don't understand.
Yeah,
Like,
they've been
okay,
okay.
let's go with that until it looks terrible. Dude, his yak has been great, dude. He's been fighting for yards. I mean, he gets like a 6 or 7 yard catch and turns it into 18 all of a sudden. You're like, okay, give it to that guy a little bit more. Let's see what's up. But yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe he's still hurt or something.
This thought
And
just
then
popped in.
every time they're like, whoa, come on, get off the field. All right.
Whoa, that was too good, man. We can't give those guys enough tape.
This thought just popped into my head too, thinking about how slowly the defense has started the last 2 weeks. If we win the coin toss this week, should we not defer? I know they've done that for years. Should they not defer
Just
with
take it.
the way the defense has come out of the chute looking flat and the way the Bills' offense it can be explosive? Should the
Dude,
Chiefs
3
maybe
weeks ago, I
revisit
would say
that?
yes, because we were having such a slump in scoring in the second half. I'd be like, yeah, let's get the ball. Let's go score. Let's change this, right? But that seems to have kind of changed the past couple of weeks. Like, we're scoring in the second half now. We're not scoring in the first half. We're scoring in the second half, which is like, I don't know. Like, does that bode well if you just take the ball right away?
Right. Well, I don't know. Up in Green Bay, that was the first time, like the Raiders game, right? It was the first time they had scored in the second half in 3 weeks or something.
Yeah.
So they've kind of turned that around. But I just don't know if you want to give the Bills the ball and instantly be down 7-0 like we have the last 2 weeks. I don't know. Nick, I mean, what would you do?
Yeah, I would probably still kick. And I know that I understand exactly what you're saying, and it's tempting, but I just think that second half first possession is just so valuable. And on top of that, like our defense last week excluded has been the most reliable unit that we have on the field. So I think putting them out there first and seeing if they can get a stop, if we can steal possession early in the game and get points, I think that's just probably the best way to go. But I wouldn't be mad either way. You know, it's not like I feel super strongly about it.
Yeah, in the past, though, I mean, you could afford to like kick the ball away and get down 3-0, 7-0 out of the gate because you had the offense that could just turn on the afterburners and catch you up right away, man. You get down to 7 or 10-0 hole with the way the offense is right this year. It's
That's what's weird about that Raiders game. It gave me
a lot
such false
tougher
hope. I'm
sweating.
like, oh, there's that team. We're down 14-0. We can come
Yeah.
back. We have that team, right? And you
Right,
you
well.
see them make the drive. You see them make the stops, and you see them score, and it's all there. But
it was the
they
Raiders.
just can't do it as continuously as years past.
It was the Raiders.
It was also
was the Raiders, and it was in
Raiders
Las
gonna
Vegas.
Raider.
So, yeah, I don't any aspect of this game we missed out.
Not that I could think of. I mean, go through the chat. I know chat was kind of blowing up there for a second. Let's see. The Bills have only played 2 games with their offensive coordinator and coming off a bye.
Yeah.
So they got a new OC. I think the Bills record coming off a bye is fucking ridiculous, like ours once used to be. But Shit, this seems like the season where all those crazy records are getting snapped for every team. So
All the
they're
streaks.
6-0 or 7-0 record off a bye. Doesn't mean shit this season.
Yeah.
So.
Go for KC. Talking about maybe get Kelsey fired up instead of sitting by himself on the sideline. That kind of goes back to what Doug talked about, Big Doug, earlier. So he doesn't see Patrick Mahomes going up and down the sideline, firing the guys up, doing the rah-rah stuff. I think Patrick Mahomes knows he don't have the guys. And that rah-rah, getting them
Maybe.
fired up, going is a waste of energy. At this point,
Run that
not
wrong
gonna
route even faster.
right, you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
so I think that's part of it. I don't think Patrick Mahomes forgot how to lead. And I
Yeah,
don't
his
think
big
Patrick
statement
Mahomes-
was like, "Hey man, just be us," and like, "Hey, let's not be us. Quit running the wrong goddamn routes." Or
Sky
catch the
Moore, I
ball
need
when
you to
hit
be
in the
somebody else.
hands.
Right. Sky, I need you to be good. Well, I'm not. So, yeah, I don't know. You guys want to do some predictions?
Yeah, sure, let's do it.
Who wants to go first?
Oh, this week, not me. Shit, I'll do it. I'll go first. Obviously, I got a little overzealous last week. Definitely underestimated the Packers and our ability to kind of put the pedal to the metal there. So this week I'm going to reel it in a little bit. I still think we can take this. We're facing a Bills team that is not the Bills of years past. Obviously, Josh Allen's off, turnover heavy. If we can limit our turnovers and maximize theirs, that would be, ideal. Obviously. So let's go. It's not gonna be high scoring. I think it's gonna be a defensive game. As much as the word shootout's been thrown around, let's go 24-21 us. I'm gonna give us just a field goals lead there. Have Butker remain perfect there.
I'm going to go 21-17 KC.
21-17 Chiefs. I'm going to go 24-23 Chiefs.
By 1 point. Woo.
I think it's going to be close.
What's the spread? What's the Vegas spread? Is the spread 1 point?
Well, Chiefs are like 2.5 to 3.5, depending on what book you're looking at. But you get usually 3 points for being a home team. So I think Vegas is looking at this game as basically a pick-'em game. Pretty even. So,
Let's see here.
Yeah.
Vegas Insider has it
I feel like
at
I feel like this game is like could be like the turning
1.5.
point of the season, right?
Well,
Vegas
it's gonna be
Insider
the
has it
turning
at
point for
1.5
team, right?
Chiefs.
What is it?
I think it's going to be the
1.5.
turning point for whoever wins.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
sorry.
come down then. It's come down if it's at 1.5 now, because I know for sure, like when I was looking earlier in the week and I was listening to the radio, they were talking about it was like that 2.5, 3.5. So
We talked about it though. Like when you're a home team, they usually give you 3 points. They feel like it's a draw,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
like Vegas isn't considering this a draw. They're kind of leaning the scales towards the Bills' favor a little
right.
bit.
Well, I want to say it opened at 3 though, and it's come down. So that means people are putting money heavily on the other side. So it's come
On the
down.
Bills.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I'm not trying to give you a heart attack, John C. I promise.
My prediction is I chew my fingernails off in the first half and drink way too many beers in the second
Right,
half.
like
Doug.
man, like
That's
look-
every
like,
game. That's a
you
good
think about-
prediction.
You think about the Chiefs' record right now too. They're 8-4. If they lose this and go to 8-5, but on the other hand, you win and you go to 9-4 with the remaining games left. I know the Bengals are on there and they just beat Jacksonville, but I gotta like the Chiefs beating the Bengals at home with the backup quarterback. They have to play the Raiders again. They've got some teams on here, very, very winnable games. I mean, they win this game, I think they're probably going to win out. So,
If you look at the Chiefs schedule versus everybody, the other
Right.
top
That's
3,
what I'm
4
saying.
AFC teams going forward, I would much rather have our schedule than theirs. Yeah, and
right.
it is possible for us to win out if we can just eliminate the bullshit. You know, I mean, it's more than it's right there for the taking. If we could just stop losing these games and start winning some games. And I mean that sincerely in the sense that we have lost these games, not the other teams beating us. We're losing these games with the stupid mistakes, penalties, just dumb stuff that's easily fixable.
I got to think, too, with like the amount of bad calls the Chiefs got against them last week, especially the huge no pass interference at the end of the game. I think the refs got to be swallowing their whistles against the Chiefs this week, man. Like, there's got to be a makeup game or some sort of, I don't even know what you would call it, karma. I don't know if that's the right word to use.
You guys know who the ref is this week, right?
Yeah, I saw. Who
Is
the
it
ref was.
Sheffers? Don't
yeah.
tell me it's Sheffers. Oh,
Yeah.
God.
Old Wimpy there.
Well, that guy's definitely going to swallow his whistle. He knows exactly what to expect from this crowd if you start, like, pulling that kind of shit.
Right.
Bro, I barely got out alive last time.
Right.
Exactly.
He did the Super Bowl, right? Carl Sheffers.
Yeah, he did.
So we got that going for us. Before we get out of here, on last week's episode, we got into the conversation about if you could keep Chris Jones or L'Jarius Sneed, who would you keep? We did another CKO bonus poll, I guess you could call it, this week. Kind of wanted to see what everybody thought. I don't know why I was surprised that Chris Jones was in the lead. You can still vote on it if you're following us on X, the app formerly known as Twitter. You can go way in there. I think you guys both said Jones and I said Sneed last week, right?
Right.
You guys,
you approached it from more like a longevity investment standpoint, and I kind of approached it from like a gun to your head, who you keeping right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I was like, shit. So like, I feel like, again, not to discredit either one of those guys because they're both amazing talents, but I think one just brings a little bit more to the table right now.
Right. Yeah, Nick, you still going Jones or?
It's tough, man. It's tough. I'm not trying to be like middle of the road dude on this week's show, but yeah, look, I'm still going Jones. I'm still going Jones, man. I'm still sitting there thinking.
Yeah, you
Look, we have McDuffie, who is coming along, and we have proven that we can draft these defensive backs pretty well. So I think we could.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I guess there's two ways to look at that. You can look at it as they've hit a bunch in a row and they're really good at identifying talent, or you could look at it as they're due for a whiff here coming up at that position at some point. I mean, I don't know it.
The power of negative thinking.
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Look, that's why it's hard, right?
No one bats 1,000. I mean, I don't necessarily think it's like the power of negative thinking. I just think that it's a really hard position to play. Probably one of the 2 or 3 hardest positions in the game outside of quarterback and maybe a top wide receiver.
It's probably the second hardest.
So no one bats 1,000. I'm not trying to like I said, be negative necessarily thinking about it. It's just at some point you're going to miss on one of these guys at that position. It's one of the easier.
Are we talking about drafted new guys? Sorry.
Yeah, we're talking about drafting secondary.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, look, Sneed probably for the long term. I mean, Jones, he's going to be 30, right? So, maybe you can get a replacement D lineman that isn't going to be as dominant as Jones, but maybe you'll get by with guys like Karlaftis, that are coming along and getting some sacks.
Right.
I mean, we haven't even seen Felix right on the field, so we don't even know really how good that guy is going to be or not going to be. So
yeah, what has happened to FAU?
I think the defense has just been so loaded this year that he just really hasn't gotten on the field as a rookie.
Yeah, he was kind of like a raw talent too. I mean, I know he had a hell of a career at K-State, and he was Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year his senior year. But he's got a lot to learn about playing in the NFL. So I think he's more
Karlaftis
project
was a
guy.
rookie, got way more time, right?
Right,
So,
but
especially at this point.
Right, but I do feel like I still think George Karlaftis is a little bit more of a polished player.
He's the man, dude.
coming
He's
out of
so
college.
good.
Yeah, he's looking pretty good. There's a lot of people that point out that teams run to his side, and he struggles there, and that's a weakness maybe that teams have started to exploit. But they can get after the quarterback, and he can't necessarily be good at everything, right? I mean,
Well, I don't think he has the penetration power that Jones has, right? So they'll run to your side, but do you ever watch the line on a running play when they we're going right. Like, dude, like that's 1,200 pounds of mass pushing guys all one direction, right? And you're just like, they're going right. Like, you don't have a choice sometimes. So I think Karlaftis is the fucking man, though. He's so good. He's had that like that noticeable talent level that's just a little bit above everybody else, right? You look at him on the field and you just go, oh yeah, he is something, and he's still so young, dude. This is his second year. Like next year, the year after that, that dude's gonna be a beast.
Yeah, he's been getting better, no doubt about that. So I don't know if there's anything else you guys want to talk about before we get out of here.
Unless you guys want to talk about other NFL stuff other than Chief stuff, I have
like Joe Burrow being proven to be just a system quarterback like that,
or Brock Purdy all of a sudden in the MVP conversation. I can hand the ball off to Deebo Samuel and Christian McCaffrey. Put me in the MVP conversation.
Right. Now you look at Brock Purdy and what he does, and the dude is just, I mean, he's a solid quarterback, and he obviously stays out of the way. But to me, he's like an Alex Smith kind of like game manager type guy that is on a team with a way better defense and way more weapons than Alex Smith had, right?
Dude, yeah. So like, I wouldn't even compare him to Alex Smith. I'd put him like Phillip Rivers, maybe, like a quarterback with like some weapons. Just
Phillip Rivers could chuck the ball and he could play the air it out and make like the deep throws and the long passes. That's Brock Purdy's more like the dink and dunk. Dump it off to Christian McCaffrey.
Dude, even you have Ayuk, Samuel, Kittle, and McCaffrey, though, like...
Yeah. But you look at a lot of those guys, like Kittle and McCaffrey and Deebo, those are all short screen passes, sideways passes, quick crossing routes, things like that.
That's the Shanahan offense, though. I mean,
when they didn't have Deebo Samuel, they lost 3 games in a row, right? When they were banged up a little bit with that guy, and Kittle was a little banged up too. So, I mean, you take anybody's really good players away, and it's going to hurt the team. But they really fell off a cliff when they lost a guy or two, and you don't really see all these other upper echelon quarterbacks necessarily do that. When we talk about Patrick Mahomes having a down year, the guy's still on pace to have a freaking good year for, I mean,
dude, he's having
a quarterback.
Yeah, he's having a really good year. He's 10th in most metrics, like 10th. Like, that's not terrible.
Right.
It's just not Patrick Mahomes good.
Right. 10th with MVS and Sky Moore.
Right.
After the game, they were interviewing MVS after the game, and MVS has like a gold earring that says MVS, and I was just like, bro, you fucking are not that good.
He's had that for a while. He had that last year too.
Come on,
I remember seeing that.
Would you wear an earring with your initials on it, Bo?
Somebody got me a gold-plated or diamond one. Yeah, sure. I'll rock the shit out of that. My ears are still pierced. I'll throw that shit right in there.
For Christmas now.
I know it's get Bo for Christmas.
Please do. B in one ear, O in the other. I'll rock them on the show.
Claire's, here we come. Though. They still got Claire's at the mall. I'll have to go see if I can track that.
Yeah, that's where I got my ears pierced like second or third time, I think.
Yeah, right.
But no, I bring that up just because, like, how is Brock Purdy in this conversation? How is Tyreek Hill not above that? How is Myles Garrett not above that?
I think most people I've seen that are talking about it, I think Tyreek's the front runner from stuff I've seen people talking about it. I mean, Nick,
if he gets 2,000 yards and doesn't win MVP, it's going to be a travesty.
Is it though? Because it doesn't seem like anybody's talking about it that way.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people talking about Tyreek Hill should be the MVP. I've seen people talk about Brock Purdy too. I'm not saying I haven't seen that, but I would lean Tyreek Hill winning the MVP. Which, if he's the first non-quarterback to win the MVP in how many years, that's just going to make that trade that piss me off even more. Like, you fucking.
Did you guys see him adjust to the ball in that game?
Yeah, and he said afterwards. He said afterwards too that he didn't adjust to it. That's where the ball. He was like, I ran the wrong way, and I was like,
well, he still adjusted mid route.
Everybody knows you're lying.
Body. I mean, right. It's essentially the MVS throw. Only he caught it.
Right. Got our man Nico.
MVS didn't change direction.
What's up, Nico? Good to see you, man.
RRR shout out there.
Tough break with your team this year, losing the quarterback there.
Dude, and Myles Garrett, and dude, you guys got banged up. That's brutal.
Yeah, man.
Nick Chubb.
Things were looking good.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I want to see if Nico thinks you think your Browns still make the playoffs? Be interested to see that. We still got that bet too.
I like Rose Royal. There you go.
Are we doing double or nothing? What are we doing? What's the bet? We're gonna have to do 4 hot wings?
We had a bet that he bet that the Browns would finish ahead of the Bengals in the division, and I bet that the Bengals would finish ahead of the Browns in the division.
Ooh.
So, he thinks they're still making the playoffs, though. You could. I mean, there's a bunch of just teams. I don't ever remember, like when they show the in the hunt graphic, right? When they're showing the playoff seeds, the 1 through 4, and then the wild card teams in the hunt. Man, that fucking in the hunt list was about that long.
6 or 7 teams, right?
I don't ever remember.
There are teams under 500 in the hunt.
Right? Yeah. It's just
Yeah, there could. I mean, this year there could be a bunch of tomato cans in the playoffs.
Yeah. Which, Nick,
Which makes this week even more important, right? We want to play one of those tomato cans.
Nick, I don't know how good you're really looking in that bet.
Yeah, like it's like one of those virtual horse races. Like, oh, the Bengals are off, and here come the Browns, and all of a sudden it's like it's all tied right now. Like, it could go either way right now.
I mean, the Browns, who did they just lose to? What's the name of the team they just lost to?
Oh, they just who the fuck was it? I know this. God,
I mean, the
me.
Bengals just beat the Jags, and the Browns just lost to somebody. So I don't know. I don't think I'd be that confident on that bet. I'm not saying you shouldn't be any confident at all, but yeah, it's got smoked by the Rams. That's right.
The Rams, yep.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
Broncos before that, but I mean,
one game difference, right? Bengals are 6-6, and the Browns are 7-5. Is that right? I believe that's correct. So
yeah.
Appreciate you swinging by, Nick.
Yeah, get back on the show, man. Missing that locker room rant. Need my fix, dude. I need my Tuesday night, Wednesday morning. It's usually Wednesday morning for me because I don't stay up that late anymore.
Hey, we didn't really get smoked.
Dude, you and John V at a 13 in the morning arguing if the Browns are contenders or not is life. That's what life's about right there. Hot cup of coffee, and you guys going off. It's a good show right there.
I didn't watch the game, Nick. I just saw the score, but it's the Rams, right? The Rams are not good this year. They're below 500, right? The Rams.
No, they're not. They
Either
might be
below or
they might
right
be
at.
6-6, yeah.
Yeah. So, guess we get up on out of here. Getting late.
Yep.
Got an early morning for me in the morning. So, appreciate everybody swinging by. It's good seeing everybody in the chat. Good seeing Go for KC and Nico, and we saw Travis was
everybody.
In the house.
Thank you.
Had the OGs in there. John C. and
everybody.
Brenda and Laney and Doug and Maria was in here for a little bit. Good to see Maria. Thanks for everybody else who's watching and doesn't comment. Don't be nervous to throw a chat in there or a comment or say something. I say dumb stuff all the time. I called Justin Ross. Who did I call him the other day?
Oh yeah, you called him Josh Gordon.
Josh Gordon. Yeah, I called Justin Ross Josh Gordon the other day. So don't worry about saying something dumb. Because
dude, I've called our receivers like old 70s country artists before. Like, don't be worried about saying something dumb. I do it all the time.
Darius Rucker's really gonna.
Thank you, John. We appreciate you, man.
Yeah.
Without you all here at the show. Without you all, the show's not nearly as fun or as entertaining. So
I definitely have to give a huge shout out to Brenda right now. I see you, girl, online pumping our stuff and promoting CKL. Thank you so much. I gotta give you a huge shout out. Thank you so much, and Laney, everybody. Can't thank you guys enough. It's so cool to see that.
Yeah. If you're not following us on X or on Facebook or on Instagram, go check us out there. Chiefs King Live. We're doing some giveaways and some different stuff on there. So don't miss out on any of that.
And race car. Can't forget the lovely race car upstairs. Sorry.
Lovely race car. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't see race car. I didn't know she was watching. I thought maybe she was working or something. So
nine subs. 9 subs away from the giveaway.
Right. We went backward somehow. We were at 8. And now
you guys are ignoring the first rule of CKL. It's not like Fight Club, where the first rule of Fight Club is don't talk about Fight Club. Right. The first rule of CKL is tell a friend about CKL. So a lot of you guys are ignoring that first rule. Make sure to tell a friend, tell a family member. As Scott says, tell a mailman, Tell your best friend. Tell your
Tell
worst
the guy.
friend. Tell an
tell
enemy.
the person. Tell the clerk at the grocery store, or the gas station, or tell your probation
Amazon
officer,
delivery driver.
Yeah, Amazon delivery driver, probation officer, anybody. Tell anybody, everybody. We sure appreciate y'all spreading the word. We'll be back next Wednesday talking about, this is the biggest game of the year so far. Might end up being the biggest
Could
game
be.
of the year when it's all
It's a
said
big
and
game.
done. We'll have lots to talk about, no doubt. Looking forward to seeing everybody there. So until next Wednesday, let's go Chiefs.
Let's go Chiefs!
Do it live.
Patrick Mahomes is basically God playing quarterback.